Hello guys, today I'm interviewing Ricky Starkey, the boxer. He's 2 wins, 2 draws, 22 defeats. And are you all right, mate?
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah. My first question is, what has been your hardest fight so far in your career?
You mean who's the best opponent?
Yeah.
I'd probably say Louis Lin, being honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What went wrong against Louis Lin?
I don't think he just timed me, didn't he? You know what I mean? I had a little look at it there, and I just got caught, and then after that, I got a bit frustrated, jumped up, cracked on, and that. But he was quite fast and strong. But before the fight even took place, like the night before, I jammed my finger in the door, something like that. That's nothing to do with it, like. But on the actual day, he said to us, because it was a float, if this fight, which was the Ryan Doyle fight, Reece Blossy, would have gone past 6 rounds, you would have been waiting until after the main event to get in there. So we must have been at the venue for like a good few hours in that, and I'd had to warm up about, say, between 3 and 5 times, and it was hot, like roasting hot day in the height of summer. So by the time I got in there, it just felt a bit flat, being honest. When I fought McGoldrick on my first fight on Sky, that was sound, because I'd only just warmed up. 2 lads had gone in early because they'd been stopped and needed to make sign up before the main event. So they asked us to do 6 rounds, and it took all 30 seconds for the negotiations to, increase the purse, expenses and that. We went out, but I was fresh. I'd only just finished warming up. And if it weren't for the referee on that occasion, I think there's a good chance I would have got it. And if it would have been kept to a 4 round, I definitely would have got it. But them 2 points that he took off in the 5th round, that just threw it away for me.
Yeah. Going into did you always want to be a journeyman, or did you want to be world champion and stuff?
Never wanted to be a journeyman, I'll be completely honest with you. And I'd rather not be one. But the fact of the matter is, unless you got, you've started young, you've got a good pedigree behind you from the early stages in the amateurs and whatnot, where you got a lot of PR, people know who you are, you've seen you, you've been competing in big tournaments and stuff like that, where it's been highly televised and publicised. You're not going to get much notice. The only way to try and flatten the curve on that one is if you fight on a big bill against somebody who's up to be the next big thing, and you beat them, but you do it emphatically, then that might open a few doors for you. But short of that, it's hard. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, and then you've had 2 fights last year, didn't you?
Yeah, I've got a list of all my fights here actually, so I could probably run through every one of them with you if you wanted.
Yeah, if you can do you want to start off with your first 2 fights?
Yeah, they were both home fights then. So I just about managed to sell enough tickets to get in on there, and it was mostly like veterans from before my time that come to watch me, plus a few lads that I actually served with as well. But after that, I just struggled with the tickets. The fact of the matter is unless you can sell enough to at least cover your opponent's personal expenses, you get took off the bill, and whatever you sold up until that point, you have to refund. So, people don't understand how it works. There's a lot of deductions before you get your cut when you're the own fighter. And it's a lot of running around and a lot of stress. So you're putting posters up in pubs, clubs, takeaways, anywhere you can get a bit of notice. You're approaching businesses trying to, get some sponsors explaining what you're going to do for them with interviews, whether it's going to get them a bit of business and what they'll be doing for you by helping you to make it a bit easier for you to be able to prepare more consistently without having to worry too much about having a day job and whatnot. Or you can just maybe, I don't know, work part-time instead of full-time so you can focus on your training a bit more.
Yeah. Did you sell many tickets in your first 2 fights?
I'd probably say they vary depending on the price. But as long as you've got enough there to cover the expenses, then it's all right. But I think I'd done about 40 or 50 tickets or something like that in my first couple of fights. But after that, I just struggled.
Why did you think you struggled selling tickets?
To be honest with you, a lot of people who come from my sort of background, they're not on the best incomes and stuff like that. It didn't really matter how much notice I gave people to come and see me. I'd give people 2 and 3 months notice for a fight or something like that. Gave them the option to pay me on the drip or in installments, if you want to use that term. And they'd all be promising me the world, saying, yeah, I'm definitely going to come and watch you fight and all that. And come fight week, but like the lion's share of them would be dropping out like flies, and you're just like, if I haven't got enough here to at least pay my opponents and his expenses, and that's without a wage, I'm not going to fight. I'm getting stuck off this bill. I'm going to refund my tickets and only run around or only trying to promote myself and advertise and whatever else has been for nothing. It's heartbreaking because, like, you know, all your friends and your family and all your people who are telling you that they're going to come and watch you and that, you give them loads of notice. And I mean, it's not, I'm not trying to like use this as a saving or nothing like that, but like with regards to like when I get invited to like events, people's birthdays, christenings, engagement parties, gender reveals, weddings, receptions, all that kind of stuff, guaranteed 9 times out of 10 I'm usually there, cards, gift and money, and even if I haven't got it to give, I make sure that I'm there and turn up because I don't like letting people down. But I suppose when it came to me, it was just a case of loads of reasons and excuses coming out to the woodwork come fight week, and it just kind of like flattened it for me. And I've tried several times throughout my career, but it's still weren't enough. And the fight that I did have at home just before Christmas, the only reason that was a home fight really is because my manager likes me and he sorted it out for me. So the people that were there in the crowd, I knew a few of them off the circuit or people who'd met over the years and that were going anyway. So it didn't really feel like a proper home fight because it wasn't people who I knew that had actually put their hand in the pocket to come and see me.
Yeah. And then you had your first defeat in 2017 against Stephen Triffney. Yeah, that's
Stephen, from in Edinburgh. That was a bewildering experience to say the least. I mean, with Joe Beeden, I think that time my missus was in the hospital building up to it, and I was self-employed and wasn't working much because I had to look after the kids and that. And he actually weighed in 8.5 pounds heavier than me. My coach didn't want me to take it, but because I sold the tickets to be coming to watch me and that, I took it anyway. When I fought Brett Fido, to be honest with you, at the time, I wasn't sure I actually deserved it until I watched it back, and I thought maybe my work rate might have got me. But at the same time, I think I couldn't have argued either way whether that would have been a win, a loss, or a draw, because it was that close, and it wasn't really much of a boxing match. We spent a lot of time more or less hugging each other in close quarters. It might as well have been like a dance. When I fought Tiffany, though, that was I was actually meant to fight Scott Allen the week before in Glasgow because we had not long had my medical and my MRI, and I was still waiting to get my results back off the board. They have a 2-day rule. So basically what it is you have to have 2 clear days between when the surgeon, well, whoever it is you work for, signs off your MRI scan to say that you're all right and carry, to, like, your license is fresh and renewed and everything's passed and there's no issues with your brain and you can carry on fighting. But until they've done that, you can't do nothing. So I was waiting for them to sign it off for ages. And I was even ringing them up like the day before or on the day of the weigh-in and that. And it didn't happen. So I found out on the day that it had been cleared, but because of this 2-day ruling, because they have to have 2 days between when you can get signed off and the actual fight, that fell through. So I'd gone down there, I'd weighed in, I was meant to be fighting the next day, and then he said it's not happening, lads. And I had to, like, you know, just go home from Glasgow. That fight never happened. And I jumped up like 2 or 3 weight divisions to fight Tiffany the following week. And you know, I won, like, you know, I reckon I've done enough to win the first round and that, but like he caught me towards the end of the round, but he was like naturally bigger and stronger than me, and jumping up that much weight, I just felt a bit slow and sluggish and that. So he walked me down, and obviously he was big, he was strong, and he'd stopped most of his opponents, plus he was unbeaten at that point as well. And you know, to be honest with you, I felt a bit sick after that one, like a 2 days, like a couple of days after me, I was still a bit sore and whatnot. And me coach threw in a towel rightly so, to be honest with you, because I probably would have got badly damaged there. So if anything, I think he saved me to fight another day, so to speak.
Yeah, a few of your fights, you've got the decision went the other way, like the Michael Walton one earlier this year.
To be honest with you, I mean, he used to be one of my club mates at the Solly, and I don't think I watched it back. I reckon he done enough to get the first round, but after that, I was pressing all the action. I was the aggressor. I was doing all the work. But the referee got a bit of a bad taste in his mouth for me, and he gave it to him. And his coach thought it was a draw. A few of the other spectators at ringside were telling me that I should have got the nod there, and I was just thinking, well, this is how it is on the road. It's see, like, to get a win as an away fighter, you've got to win every round, like, really convincingly. If you put them down, it's a 10-8 round, so you're up 2 rounds just off dropping them. The only guarantee is if you get them out of there. Short of that, you're not going to get it. I mean, I'd say out of all the fights that I've had there, there's probably about 6 of them where I reckon I should have got the nod, or at least they deserved the draw. There's been a couple more there where I probably let a couple of people off the hook. And some of the stoppages, really, they were a bit premature, and the referees were just being a little bit overcautious, where I was happy to continue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes the refs just get overexcited.
Like, the thing is, right, unless if it's a title fight in that, or it's beyond 8 rounds, that's when it's good, gets scored by the judges. But other than that, if it's just like a normal fight or whatever, it's usually the referee that's scoring the fight. And generally they're in the promoter's pocket anyway, so it's all geared towards getting the home kid to win so they can keep selling tickets, keep building the crowds in, keep bringing the money in, and everyone's still getting paid.
Yeah. And then you fought on the Kell Brook v Amir Khan undercard. Was that a good experience?
Yeah, I mean, the crowd wasn't that big when I went in there. Like, it was Bosch when Khan, like when they actually came out to have their fights. I mean, they had like some guy on a piano next to the runway where you walk down towards where you make the way to the ring and that, playing the piano bit as Kell Brook was doing his ring walk. That was sick. That, like, I'm not gonna lie, being there, hearing the noise and there, I'd probably say that was probably the best atmosphere. But for me, like actually fighting, probably my first Sky fight on the Gold Rush, but that fight actually cost me a lot of fights because nobody wanted to fight me after that. I had like loads of try-offs and loads of complications going. So I think about 6 fights fell through on me, and then I got your fire on a day's notice. I'd already been offered it 2 weeks before, but my manager thought he was a bit too experienced. Because bearing in mind, he was at the time he was number 3 in Britain and like number 32 in the world. So it was a big step up, like. But so with Tiffany, I don't know, just got caught there. But it is what it is. When I fought George Brennan, I got the draw. I actually got a point deducted, and I still got the draw, despite that. He was calling me all kinds of dirty and that in an interview that somebody sent me that I've had a look at. But he was dirty than me. He just did it a bit better. Yeah. McGoldrick, I think if we went for the points getting stuck off, I reckon I probably would have got that one. But like I said, following that, I mean, I had, what was it? I think 3 lads changed opponents. 1 lad couldn't do his tickets. 1 lad tried to wanted 6 rounds, but only wanted to pay me for 4. And one of the shows got cancelled because the promoter had a heart attack. So I dipped out on like 6 fights after I fought McGoldrick. When I fought Mark Evans,
Yeah.
I had some stuff going on in my personal life at the time, and my head wasn't really with it. So although I was winning comfortably and whatever else, then I got caught. Jumped up too soon, didn't give myself enough time to recover, and then he just jumped on me while I was still a bit dazed. But I actually sparred him a few months before that, and we done like a 6-rounder. And for the first like 5 rounds or something like that, I was, all over him, on top of him. He couldn't really get that close to me. So, I mean, if I would have been in the right place mentally at the time, I probably would have got that one. And to be honest with you, they needed to get me out of there because I burst his nose. He ran straight into a right hand when he come at me early on in the fight, and it was, streaming like a tap. So, yeah, if he wouldn't have got me out of there, he would have pulled him out because he couldn't stem the flow of blood from his nose. But since that, he's had to stop, and he's had some, issues behind the scenes and whatnot. So he's had to pack in after a fight. But it was a good way for him to go out. So fair play to him.
Yeah. And then after that, you had a draw, and you had 1 point deducted for holding in the 5th, and you still managed to get a draw.
I know, yeah. But to be honest with you, Omar Dusari, that one was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that one, I think I showed both a little bit, step back, and I was giving him a little bit of stick because obviously he was hitting me, but I wasn't really feeling much. He wasn't really hitting me. At the weigh-in for that, I think I weighed 8'11", and he was 8'12.5" or something like that. I think it was meant to be set a bit lighter than that, but it didn't matter anyway. He was giving it the big one on his interview before it and that, and fair enough, he was confident, he was unbeaten. So it is what it is. But I think he was relieved with his reaction, if you had to be serious, the decision at the end, that it was a draw, because really, if it hadn't been for that point deduction, I would have got the nod there.
I reckon you would have as well, mate.
Yeah. What do you got there? Oh, your fight. Like I said, the build up to that with all the fights falling through everyone else. To be honest with you, I was ticking over in the gym, but I wasn't really watching my weight in that. So I get a phone call this day and I'm in Costco getting a bit of shopping, and my manager rings me, said, at the time I was self-employed, I wasn't really getting a lot of work, and I could have done with the money just before Christmas as well, so it came on handy for that. And so he's on the phone to me, Steve, and he goes, "What are you weighing now?" I said, "I'm 9'9". Bear in mind, I fight between 8'10" and about 9'4", so heavy for me, like. And he goes, "Got a fight there for you." He said, "The lad who's," I said, "Who is it?" He said, "Come on, I said, "You told me 2 weeks ago you didn't want that because he's too experienced." He said, "Yeah, but we're not, you could do with a nice payday before Christmas, and with all the cry-offs and whatever else, probably help you out in that." I went, okay, then what's the crack? And he said, you're call Bethnal Green tomorrow night. It was meant to be an 8-rounder originally, but it got banged down. His opponent had failed the medical or something, so they needed a last-minute replacement. And then when he told me how much the fight was for, as soon as he told me what the purse was, I went, happy Christmas, Steve. And I just went to the Pure Gym, took £3 off, because he said, come in the 9-6 of the day. And I jumped the train up the next day, and I had it with him. And if it had been fit, I probably would have put up a better performance in that. But at the time, I just thought, nobody wants to fight me. They're all shit. I was just pardon my language, but yeah. That
Yeah.
was crazy, that. But came in handy for Christmas, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But I mean, go on.
were you not happy when you got stopped against Yafai?
No, to be honest with you, I mean, I think really the only thing that really let me down was the fact that my fitness weren't there. If it weren't for that, I would have been happy to carry on. I'm not too sure whether it was because Luke chucked the towel in or the referee just pulled me out, but I think he was close to like chucking the towel in anyway. If it had been fit, I definitely would have put up a much better performance. But considering everyone says he's like this great body puncher, the best person who I've ever been hit in the body by is a lad who's an ex-pro who was sparred when he was due to get out the army, a lad called Ricky Owen. I think he's on Facebook as Ricky Martin Owen. He would have won the prize fight had it not been for the cuts, and he actually retired undefeated. And as an amateur, he won all kinds of, titles and championships and Four Nations and all sorts. Lad from Swansea is he can proper dig to the body. Even that wasn't just in sparring gloves. If it would have been anybody else, like even in the fights with the 8-ounce gloves on, he hit harder to the body than anybody I'd been in with. So anybody that's hit me in the pros or dropped me with a body shot, none of them hit me as hard as Ricky Owen. He's got the hardest body shot I've ever felt. My ribs were about sore for about 2-3 days after that. Not gonna lie, I've rolled around and agony on the floor because his amateur coach was taking the spar. His pro coach walked in and said, "What are you doing, letting him sparring?" Shouldn't have really been happening, really. But this is when I was 27. Well, it's been nearly 10 years since then. Like.
Yeah. And then after your fight, you fought Billy Stud, wasn't it?
Billy Stewart.
Yeah, that's it.
Billy the Butcher Stewart. Yeah. To be honest with you, what's it called? I came in heavy at the weigh-in for that one. So I took a lot of weight off. And I've been detoxing my body and whatnot. And at the weigh-in, I came in over. Because it was the day before weigh-in, they said, you need to get some of this off. So they sent me down to like the saunas and the steam room in this like hotel spa where we were doing the weigh-in and that, where the fight was going to be the next day. And I took a bit of it off. I jumped back on the scales. They were happy with what I'd lost. But from the weigh-in up until about an hour before the fight, I couldn't stop vomiting because I just felt proper sick as a dog. So I think I just felt weakened off the fact that I was just sick. I don't know, because I detoxed my body and I couldn't hold on to my food down. And I nearly got him out of there twice, like in the first and in the third round. I caught him with a right hand and a left hook in either one of the rounds. And if I'd followed up on it, I probably would have got him out of there, or my coach reckons I would have anyway. To be honest, I mean, performance-wise, he reckons that was probably the best that I boxed. So, yeah, that was good, that. But I mean, to be honest with you, I don't think it should have got stopped, even though I've been put down in that. Because in the 5th round, when it got pulled, my groin guard got stuck between the ropes. So I'm trying to stand up, and I couldn't stand up. My groin guard stuck between the ropes. And the referee just went, "Oh, what are you doing? There's only a round left." I was fuming.
So you were gutted when it got stopped?
It shouldn't have got. I don't think it should have been stopped because it wasn't a case that I was down and I couldn't get up. My groin guard got stuck between the ropes, and I'm trying to stand up and I couldn't get up because my groin guard was getting caught on the ropes. And I couldn't actually stand up off the ropes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then after that, we had after that Kesashwach.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was on the Carlo Greco undercard at the Echo. I think I had like probably a handful of people that came to that. I managed to get a few freebies to get me father-in-law and me missus in to come and watch us. But before that, I actually ripped the waist tag off my shirt because they were strangling me. I couldn't breathe because like I'd had the new waist tag put on, and it was like pulling in on my diaphragm and that. But on the actual day of that, I'd lost like a bit of weight before I'd even gone to the weigh-in to make it, and it was meant to be made at 8:10. I come in at 8:10 and 3 ounces, and he came in at 9:12 and a half. Now really, because you're meant to get fined if you come in over the agreed weight, and I was more or less there where he was like, what, over like about £1.50 heavier than what he should have been. And I just thought it's a little bit unprofessional, really, because bear in mind he's been on the GB squad for years and he didn't even make the agreed weight. I should have really complained about that, to be honest with you, but it is what it is. I think I just lost my composure in that one, and I just didn't, get me timing, and that went the way it went. So yeah.
Yeah, and then you were against Ross Cooksey.
Yeah, he's a nice. I've actually fought him twice, but we'll get into the other fight later on. So on that occasion, gone in, lost my composure a bit. What was it? Getting done for like hitting and holding and stuff like that, and I slipped him and like they scored a knockdown against me and stuff. So that's why he got a wide points on that one. But nice kid,
Yeah.
we had a good bit of rapport even before we had the fight. We still get on. He's actually sent me a picture that I've got at home there, from one of the fights, like where like you get photos and that after you've had the fights and stuff. Yeah, he's a good kid. And to be honest with you, I'm think he's packed in now, but he retired undefeated. Bit gutted really, because he was a talented kid and I reckon he would have done quite well, or at least would have got an area title. He's still got time though, so he might come back.
Why do you think he retired?
I think it's more to do with family and stuff like that, because obviously having the stress of selling tickets is a nightmare in itself, especially when you're unknown. But it's not just that. Like when you've got a family, you've got a missus and kids, and you've got people to provide for and support and stuff, and you're trying to train in addition to working your job and whatever else. It ain't that easy. Whereas like these top amateurs, you get time, who do really well in the amateurs, especially like if they won the amateur championships or the Olympics, Commonwealth Games, something like that. Promoters will actually approach them. Whereas for the likes of myself and that, if you want to turn over, you'd have to do it off your own back. I didn't really know how it worked at first, so originally I signed with somebody else, but I didn't even end up having a fight for him. And I got convinced by my coach to jump ship and go with Steve Wood, because the other guy was relatively inexperienced. He hadn't really, established himself, and I was only like the fifth lad that he'd signed. I mean, he had to retire himself because of an injury that he sustained when he was fighting the lad who I originally signed with. But, there's no hard feelings there or nothing like that. The fact of the matter is, it's just logistically, it didn't really make sense. And I was working nights purposely up near where he was based, travelling like up to where he is, probably about an hour away or something, working up them ways purposely so I could train with him in the mornings, because he was going to train me, manage me and promote me. But he'd always send me home and just tell me to go and do my own runs and stuff like that. And he never, and then I started training one of the old amateur coaches from the Solly, and he was trying to get him his trainer seconds license so that he could train me, but he'd only just got back in with the amateurs, and he said he wants to work on the kids and stuff like that. So then he pointed me in the direction of the coach that I'm now with, and I've been with him since.
Yeah, of course. You said your hardest fight was Louis Lin, and that was your next fight after that.
Yeah,
Do you think
but like
he'll
I said,
be? Do you think he'll be world champion? Because I think he's really good.
well, he's fit, he's fast, he's strong, he's agile, he's aggressive. He doesn't back up, he doesn't back down. To be honest with you, I mean, I think he'll probably, I don't know whether he admitted himself. The lads who I fought after him, he's actually fought, and it was a very close one. And that's one he potentially could have lost had it
Yeah.
continued. But I think he pulled it because of the cut that he'd sustained. I don't know whether he got his timing right or his tactics wrong or whatever else. But yeah.
Yeah. Did you watch that fight?
The Jahanzeb one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was impressed with Jahanzeb. He was using his distance and his reach and his timing really well. I don't think Louis seemed to get into like as good of a rhythm as what he maybe would have liked to have done. I mean, to box somebody like him, really, you need to stay on his chest. You need to stay close to him. You need to work him in close. You don't give him a bit of distance to be able to utilise his height and his reach against you, because you're doing that. You're just allowing yourself to be picked off. And well, he's quite fast and quite slick. I don't think I should have got stopped against him, being honest with you. I think I had a cut over my eyelid, but it was turning into a bit of a wrestling match. I actually rugby tackled him out the ring. He went flying out the ring. We had to jump back in and that. And then the refs pulled us out. But to be honest with you, he said he was doing me a favour, because the way that it was going and that, he was on the verge to have disqualify me. And if you get disqualified, you don't get, well, you're not supposed to get paid. And you just go with your expenses, and then you get called in front of the board for a hearing, and they'll sanction you, so you could get a fine, you could get a bit of a ban, or things like that. So yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, seriously. So see how like I said, with the home fighters, everything's geared towards getting them a win. They're the ticket seller, they're the one who's brought the money into the table and that. So for them to win, they'll get led away with murder. So when they start doing things like a bit dirty, where they could get done for infringements and stuff, they tend to like let it brush that under the carpet. Whereas if an away fighter does it, they'll jump on you straight away. You'll start getting warnings, point deductions, and if you get disqualified, I mean, fortunately, we'll get to the fight where he actually did get disqualified in a bit. But I still got paid for that. But yeah,
Yeah. And then after Johansson, you fought Louis Fielding.
Lewis Fielding. Being honest with you, I don't know if you've seen that fight, but how he got the decision, I don't know, because I pressed him for all of the fights. I nearly flung him through the ropes about 3 or 4 times. I was like the aggressor. I mean, I actually broke my right hand in that fight the first time. I done it 2 metacarpals with my right hand in the 5th round, so I had to box the last round with one hand. And I wasn't best pleased about that, being honest with you. So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but the Johansson one, no, I actually had to get 2 stitches in my left eyelid after the fight as well. But yeah, with the Lewis Fielding one, I wasn't happy about that because I felt a bit hard done by, because I genuinely believe I done enough, if not more than enough, to deserve the victory on that one. Because he wasn't really doing much to like give me much to think about. I wouldn't say he was like the most aggressive, to be honest with you. I mean, yeah, I definitely should have got the nod there. Even John Pegg, who's his manager, messaged me on like Facebook and I'll put some comments about the fight in that. And even he thought I should have got it. But like I said, it's all geared towards get the home kid to win, and they always favour the home fighter, just how it is.
Yeah. Louis Fielding's got a big Midlands title fight soon.
Yeah, he actually fought a kid who I was meant to fight for an area title after that, and he got stopped by him, this James Beach kid. But I think I had to pull out of that fight because I had an injury, so I couldn't participate in that one.
Oh yeah, I know who James Beach is. He was meant to fight Louis Lynn.
He's fought Chris Bork already, who I've fought twice, once in the amateurs, once in the pros, but we'll get to his fight in a bit.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And who did you fight after?
Fielding.
Yeah, Fielding.
Nathaniel Collins in
that was the one. Yeah.
That was where I got disqualified.
Yeah.
Yeah. The referee, I don't know. I think he took like some points off and like for holding and stuff like that, and he said he was going to disqualify me anyway. But from what I've heard, I don't know how true this is. He's never been upgraded as a referee, or maybe gone to get himself upgraded. So he's always stayed at, like, you know, where you can get upgraded and you get seen as being more of a higher level of referee. He's stayed as like the basic, as far as I'm aware. I wasn't best pleased, to be honest with you. That, I mean, I don't know how the fight would have panned out, but he did me no favors, and it is what it is. I can't change that. I was fortunate to still get paid. Being honest with you, you're not supposed to get paid when you get DQ, but yeah.
Why did you get paid when you got disqualified?
I don't know, because I mean, I think I might have argued the toss a little bit, and a few people in the crowd have probably overheard the conversation, and it's got to like some of the people in the rooms and whatever else, and I don't think the crowd would have been best pleased, because at the end of the day, I turned up, I've made the weight of, you know, jumped in throughout the fight and whatever else. I mean, why shouldn't I get paid for my efforts? Because I've had to take time out of work, I've had to work and train around my family. I mean, nobody understands, like, you know, what actually goes into it. And it's not always easy to be able to prepare as consistently as what you might like to. Whereas, like I said, these kids who are still living at home with the mums and dads, so they do well in the amateurs, I'm not having to work a day job, or they're only working part-time. It's more feasible for them to be able to train on a more consistent basis, whereas I work nights, and then I'm having to do school runs, and then it's trying to get me sleep during the day after I've trained. It's you know, you don't get much rest. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah. And then you fought Jack Budgie.
To be honest with you, I thought I should have at least got a draw on that one as well. Roughed him up, had a good fight with him, and after he gave it 59-56, but you know, if it would have been a draw, or if I would have got the nod, even my coach thought, he was like, my coach was like, stick your hands up at the end of the fight. He thought he should have got it as well, because like at times there we were having it, and like we get in close, and I'd be like, come on, work with me. And like I'd start working him in close and that, because at a distance he was all right, but up close, and when I was pushing him back, I don't know, I don't feel as though I was getting that much resistance from him, and I just thought, I'm going for this here, like, but I never go for I never say enough to lose, and I'm not just in it for the payday. I want the wins, but I know for me to get a win, I've got to do something special.
Yeah. I thought you did enough for a draw as well.
Yeah. Who do we have after that? Fuad Hussein in Watford.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was he actually missed the weight, and I jumped in on his interview after the fight as well. You probably find that on YouTube and give him a bit of stick about it because he's trying to say that I dropped all his money, and I'm like, hang on, listen, you're supposed to be a professional, so you make the weight. He come in like a bit over the weight what it was agreed at, and I was actually meant to get compensated. I got compensated a bit, but not as much as what I was supposed to, which I wasn't best pleased about. But I took the piss in that one because I mean, if you've watched it, the first round, he barely touched me. I was just like slipping and you know what I mean, just moving out the way of shots. And he couldn't really catch me in that. I actually done you know where you think when he fought Lemieux. Yeah, I stepped off and I done that to him as well, just like to take the piss. At one stage, he caught me and he thought he'd like put me on a proper knockdown, but it was just more of a slip, really. Where I just lost my foot, so it never got scored a knockdown. But I think if it had been fully fit and I'd have pressed it, I actually busted my right hand in that one as well. I reckon I'd have got him, but he's, you know, giving it the big and saying he's going to be like the next big thing, the first Somalian world champion and all this kind of stuff. And I was thinking to myself, you're not all at this. I mean, if you listen to the commentary and that, it's quite humorous. Yeah.
Yeah.
I proper took the piss in that one. No, I was like laughing, and he's trying to like give it them. And at one stage, I started pressing him and pushed him on his throat and started smashing him at him. And he's looking, and I think I actually heard him say to me, "What are you doing?" He must have thought that was just coming to roll over. No chance, lad. You know what I mean? I don't care. You know what I mean? I want to win. I'm not here just to like pick up a paycheck.
Exactly.
Yeah. What's the point? You want to give people an entertaining fight and that, but if you watch the actual fight and you watch the interview after it, yeah, you probably laugh a little bit. I'll be honest with you.
Can you, after this interview, can you send me that interview after the fight?
But if you just put it on YouTube, you shouldn't be hard to find. If you just put in like what Ricky Stark, well, Fuad Hussein versus Ricky Starkey, and then you'll probably find the fight and the interview. But if you can't find the fight, you might find the actual full show. And if you fast forward, I think it's about an hour and 20 odd minutes or something into it, you'll be able to actually see where the fight is near the commentary on the fight as well. So yeah.
Yeah. And then after that, you fought Kane Slavin.
Kane Salvin.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's amazing. But I mean, how did that one go? Like before the fight even took place, and we're in there, and it was bloody roasting. I'm not gonna lie to you, I was sweating buckets in that changing rooms, and I'm not too sure if it was a float out or anything like that, but I don't know what it was. I think I actually had the runs like before I went in to like have the fight and that, so I was like sat on the loo for a while before he went out to have the fight there. So that might have like depleted me a bit, like flushed me out a bit. You know what I mean? Because I
Yeah.
had a bit of that like before he went to have the in and to the fight. I generally feel a little bit sick before fights sometimes anyway, so don't know whether there might be been a bit of element in there as well. But yeah. But he was a nice kid, him.
Yeah. He lost his first fight earlier on this year.
Oh yeah. I think I've had a little look at that. I haven't watched the fight, but yeah. Gutted for him, but it is what it is. I think he was actually meant to fight Gomez when he still had the area title, but I'm not sure what happened with that one. Speaking of Gomez though, I was actually meant to fight Michael Gomez Jr. in Leeds, or I think it was Leeds or Bradford, I'm not sure. But he actually turned up. I've actually got the write up for it in Boxing News. It says no Gomez because he turned up, and on the day, obviously you're not allowed to take any weight off. The day before, you get an hour to lose it, or 2 hours if it's IBF. And he turned up £5 over the agreed weight. Now at the time, my coach was in Germany doing Rocky Fielding's corner for the Zoya fight where he won his world title. And so me and Billy Rice, one of my mates who's like one of the coaches at the time, we rang John up and we told him about the weight and that, and he said, no, you're not having it. Now, if you make the weight and you turn up, you'd have an issue over it. They're supposed to compensate you, i.e. £50 to £100 per pound. Whatever they're over, it goes into your opponent's purse. And I don't think they were willing to give us that. And John just said no. And I never actually got paid for that one. I'm actually getting paid for it in installments now. But it took them years to actually give me the dough for that fight. Really, they should have paid me anyway because I'd done what I was supposed to do. I've turned up on time. I've made the agreed weight. He's coming £5 over, which is ridiculous when you think about it. And that fight never ended up happening.
Yeah. And then after that, you fought Chris Bork, didn't you?
I fought him in Haringey in the amateurs years ago as well when I was still back for the Solly after I got out of the army. And I think he nearly got disqualified in that one, but he got the nod there. Like, but on this one, yeah, obviously I took a bit of punishments. I went for it and whatever else, but my nose got bust and it was streaming, just like Mark's was, where he nearly got pulled out in that. But in the last round, I started pressing on him, I jumped on him and started like smashing him to the ribs and that. But because my nose was running, the referee separated us and him and the doctor have had a look at us and pulled us. Being honest with you, I reckon if he'd give me another, 10 to 30 seconds, there's a good chance. I reckon I might have, pulled off a little bit of a late upset, because I felt as though I was getting to him at that stage. But apparently my mate who was in the corner with me, coach at the time, he looked over at him and he had like a big sigh of relief in the corner. I was like saying, thank God it's been stopped, because I don't know whether he was feeling the pace. I mean, it wasn't long left anyway. It was like towards the end of the last round, but at that stage, I just thought, yeah, I'm having this now. I don't care. My nose is gone and I need to, try and get him out of here. And that was the one that actually cost me the fight with James Beach Jr., because I had to take me ban, and then I had to go and get my nose looked at, and I think I actually got my nose reset, and that put me out for even longer. So I had a bit of a longer layoff before I actually got to fight again after that one. But yeah.
Yeah. Did you watch Chris Borg v Mark Leach?
Yeah. To be honest with you, I thought the scoring should have been a bit wider in Mark's favour, if I'm being honest. But Mark's a nice kid to me, and I was actually messaging him and gave him like a few little tips about what was working for me when I fought him. But he didn't need that anyway. He got his tactics banged on, boxing on the back foot the way that he did, and he was barely getting touched, and he was landing like the majority of shots that he was throwing, and that was some performance, that. And especially after what happened with the Taylor Castle fight the week before, it was nice to see that they actually got the right decision. But
yeah,
the only thing that went wrong after that is one of the judges got downgraded. Really, I don't know. You can argue the toss. Most people would say that it'd be fair to overturn the decision, but generally 9 times out of 10, that doesn't happen. It's just unfortunate, really.
Yeah. It was a massive robbery. I thought Catterall won at least 9, 10 of the rounds.
He actually dropped him in the second round as well. I mean, I watched it back with the American commentary, but yeah, it was some fight that, like. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether Josh is actually considering staying at the weight now, just to prove that it wasn't a fluke. But I think in interviews since, or what I've read, he's actually said he couldn't have argued either way if the other guy would have got it. And well, to be fair, Castle should have got it. I don't think any of us were expecting to perform the way that he did, but what he did was quite special, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then who did you fight after Chris Borg?
Sufyan Ahmed.
Yeah,
I think he comes from like the white collar scene. You are.
Was that a tough fight?
To be honest with you, I coasted a bit. I wasn't like fully fit in that. I probably would have given him a bit more of a performance if it hadn't been for that. But skill wise and whatever, he got a bit better than what I'd seen him on some of his videos before I actually fought him. But at the same time, fully fit, I'm happy to. Being completely honest with you, I reckon at my best, I reckon I beat him like fairly convincingly.
Yeah, I think you won that as well.
I wouldn't say I won it. I mean, I took my foot off the gas and didn't really press the fight. But fully fit, I reckon if I'd have, gone at him like the way that I have done in fights where I've had a bit more time to prepare, or I've prepared myself a bit better with the sort of fitness and stamina that I've got when I'm properly prepared, I reckon I'd have beat him, definitely.
Yeah, and then you fought Ross Cooksey again.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I reckon it should have been more like 39-37. He still would have got it anyway, but there was stages there during the fight where I've caught him and I've wobbled him a little bit. I don't know whether or not it was towards the end of the round, so I didn't have a chance to, build on that and maybe try and, force the stoppage. But I like Ross. He's a nice kid, and I've got no qualms with him. I mean, he was telling me about like a little bit of an hand injury or something like that he had at the when we were doing the weigh-in, and I said, listen, I said, listen, it doesn't matter what injury is or how you bet yourself. I'm not bothered about that. I'm not going to target it to try and injure or like that. I broke, bones, and I've had this to be bust up before now in fights anyway. So it is what it is. We'll just take it as it comes. So don't worry about it. I think he was worried that I was going to try and target his injury. Yeah,
Yeah.
who we got now?
And then after, who did you fight?
Brian Phillips.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've actually fought him twice in the amateurs and I beat him both times. But that time I only got 2 days notice. I'd only been back in the gym 2 days and he'd had a 10-week uninterrupted camp for an area title fight that fell through because his opponents had got ill. So I got the call up on 2 days notice to do a 6-round with him and all. And we banged up the pace only a little bit. And we had that and the referee pulled me out with 13 seconds to go in the last round. But it wasn't it. It was just a case of I was tired. And the referee's just like, as I've had my back turned, he's just gone, you've had enough and pulled me out of the fight. And I was like, are you messing? Why you pulled me out of the fight? But I mean, fully fit and at my best. Yeah, I reckon I'd have got me hat trick. Whether or not we'll get to do that again, I don't know. I'd like to hope, or I'd like to think, but we'll just have to wait and see. Because
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's actually
Hopefully.
disrespected me. He's disrespected me to a certain point on certain posts that he's put on his Instagram, and it doesn't come across the best way. And a lot of people weren't happy with that. But I don't know whether he's done it to boost his profile, maybe make himself look good, or make himself maybe advertise himself to a certain extent so that he looks maybe a bit better than what he is. But for whatever the reason is, I mean, I can't say I was best pleased about it, but can't do nothing about it now. Just fingers crossed, we're going to get back out again, probably back end of April, early May, something like that. I want to give myself a bit of time because I've had a little bit of a blowout in that. If I get him again in future, it'll be interesting.
Yeah. Why did you what went wrong? Why didn't you fight Jamie Chamberlain?
I don't know. I think I just had a couple of niggles or something on after the fight, and I think I was a little bit, I don't know, frustrated with the way that I've been treated by the referee and the fact that I've been cheated out of a decision that most thought that I deserved. So yeah, it kind of I don't know. I wasn't happy with it, and I just wanted to I just didn't want to go out in half cocked. To be honest with you, I mean, compared to, not that it's about the money or anything like that, but compared to the purses that I've had off the Matchroom shows or the Boxer show, Frank Warren doesn't pay as well as the others. I'll be honest with you. I don't know whether it's him or whatever, but there's a significant difference in the pay packet, considering the risk that you put yourself under.
What's it like? Eddie Hearn and the Boxer would pay you more?
Eddie Hearn and Ben Shalom paid me more than what I've been offered for fights under Frank Warren.
Do you get lots of offers to fight on their cards?
I don't know. It depends on me. Like, you run a form, really. Just sees what they come up with. I mean, I actually got offered Abdul Khan in Dubai for his debut originally, but I couldn't get time off to be able to go and do it because they wanted me to go over to Dubai for a week and that, doing all kinds of interviews and stuff, building up to the fight and actually have the fight itself. And I was happy to do that, but at the time, I think that was when I'd had my nose reset and I had to have a period of recovery, so I wasn't able to go and do it.
Yeah, and I think the only fight that we haven't talked about yet is the Mikey Young fight.
Oh no, we got the Matt Craddock one in Birmingham, which was after the Phillips one after the obviously that was my first fight back after all the lockdowns and whatever else. I think an accidental clash of heads or headbutt, whatever you want to call it, that busted me nose and it was just getting progressively worse as the fight went on. Early on, I was doing well. I'd probably say I was winning the rounds, clearly enough. But once that headbutt went, the clash of heads went in and my nose was just getting worse as the rounds went on. In the end, to save me from getting an even longer ban, that's when me corner chucked in the towel. But I ended up out even longer anyway because I had to get I ended up getting my nose reset and I had to take a longer period than the 28 days, what it would have been. So that was that.
Yeah. And then the Mikey Young fight, that was a close fight.
I wouldn't say it was close, no. I'd say, to be honest with you, I had a lot of complications building up to that. I'd lost my phone. The barbers took the piss cutting my hair, so I ended up turning up to the venue late. I was looking after my 2 kids, me 2 nieces and me nephew the night before. I ended up taking my kids and one of my kids, one of my nieces to the venue, and I had to take her home after that as well because her man had already gone home with the other kids. I ended up turning up late for the venue because I never had my phone. I had to borrow my father-in-law's phone to use as sat nav to get me there. I've had to drive to the venue in the fog, and instead of being on second, I was on last. And by the time I got there, I don't know, my head was just gone. But I took like a fair bit of weight off before the weigh-in and whatever else. I would have liked to have taken it off a bit earlier, but because I had my nephew, I didn't want to like feel too weakened to be able to look after him properly. So, and he wouldn't sleep because there'd been an incident, and when his mum's not there or he's not around his nan, he doesn't really sleep that well. So it took a while for him to nod off before I could actually get a bit of cardio in to take like that last bit of weight off before I went for the weigh-in. But the day of the fight as well with like all the issues of time and sliding, turning up late, just that made my head was gone even before I went in for that one. I mean, if I'd have probably took the weight off over a more sustained period of time, and I wouldn't have had to be looking after all kinds of loads of kids like the night before and on the day as well. I'm rushing around and trying to get everywhere and get everything done in time. I probably would have put a bit more of a composed performance, but I just felt a bit flat. I mean, I've watched it myself and I'm like, compared to the way I have fought or can fight, I had like next to no head movements. I was just basically following around like by a zombie, get picked off while he's moving around and catching me. So yeah, I mean, fair play to him. You know, he came up and whatnot, but it might as well have been his show because, I mean, yeah, like I said, there was a few people there that I knew, but it wasn't people that I'd sold tickets to or nothing like that because my manager sorted it for me because Steve likes me. If it hadn't been for that, that wouldn't have been a home fight because I don't know, not a chance to be able to do the tickets for it. I mean, I tell people that every year they do Jolly Boy shows at Christmas. You know what I mean? So they've got a whole other year to plan for it for like a Christmas night out with the lads and that. And it just falls on deaf ears.
Yeah, I just want to say a massive thank you for coming on, and hopefully I can come and support you soon, mate.
Hey, you never done the calm fight in the Walton fight, did you?
Oh no, I forgot about
You
that.
nearly missed that though.
So
Yeah.
the calm fight, yeah, as we were talking about it a bit earlier.
Yeah. I don't know. He's just young and he's fresh. And he's quite elusive and that, isn't he? I mean, it wasn't a knockdown anyway. If you actually watched the fight and you watch a replay of it and that where he scored a knockdown against me, I actually went at him and as he spun off, he's punched me like between the shoulder blades in the back. He scored a knockdown, and even all the commentators were saying that weren't a knockdown, that, but nothing you can do about it. Nice kid,
Yeah,
though. When I fought Mikey Walton, though, like I said, we had issues with the referee, didn't we? And I think really the scoring should have been the other way around.
yeah, I think that you won that fight.
Yeah. So, but I mean, when you think about it, I mean, aside from the pro side of things, I had 32 amateur fights. I've stopped about 7 of them. 10 unlicensed fights. I stopped one of them and all. That's a funny fight, actually. If you put what's it called? What was my name? Yeah, Charlie Chaplin versus Paul Kenyon. I'm running my own license cards. I think at one stage the kid came at me and I spun off and he actually like ran into the bloody ring post and hit the deck. But like the referee stopped him. I actually stopped him and the referee stepped in because like I was catching him and like it was only a matter of time before he was gonna go. But yeah. Yeah, but I mean, in the amateurs, what was it? I won me into companies twice in my regiments. I was 3-time novice combat services champion in the army. I got to the semis in the regional finals of the ABAs locally. Done the Arrogate Box Cup twice. Got to the semis and the quarterfinals in that. And then I don't know. I think that's about it with all the boxing side of things anyway. But outside of the army and whatnot, I mean, I've been to Iraq. I've been shot at. I've been blown up. I've been mortared. What's it called? I've lost friends and relatives to all kinds of different things. Like one of my mates actually accidentally shot himself, and his mum had to switch to like support machine off the next day after we found out about that. That was 2006. 2008, one of my mates got stabbed. He bled out on somebody's doorstep. He rang his mum and told her who it was. She'd stabbed him as he was dying. And that was in 2008, on Valentine's Day. And in 2012, my youngest brother, he was only 21. We buried him 2 days before his 22nd birthday on the 2nd of December 2012. He got shot 7 times and 6 of the rounds actually went into him. From what I remember, I think it was one in the face, one in the back of the head, and he battled the rest off into his chest to make sure. And I had to go and ID his body with me twin brother, who I'm not talking to for certain reasons, and my dad 4 days after it had happened. And to be honest with you, I thought my mum was playing tricks on me because I could have sworn I could see his chest rise and falling as though he was breathing when I actually seen him on the gurney through a glass window. But he weren't, he was gone. And well, that was hard time. But other than that, any other problems that I've had during my career, and that is probably due to personal circumstances that have been going on in my relationships and things like that. There's been a lot to go with. I mean, there's actually something that happened when I was in the forces with somebody who I considered a friend and a colleague. Bit of an intimate situation, which I'm not really going to go into too much detail into. But the lads who I was in the army with, they'll know what I'm talking about. And well, that set me head west a bit. But at the time, I probably would have dealt with it a bit better. But my mate who'd accidentally shot himself, we were still actually waiting to get his body back off the police at the time. If it hadn't have been for that, with what happened with me and said colleague, I probably would have put him in a bad way. But yeah.
Yeah. I just want to say a massive thank you for your time, mate, and hopefully I can come and support soon.
Yeah, man. Well, like I said, I mean, if you're ever in the Northwest and my manager Steve has got any shows on, even if I'm in the away corner, generally, I can usually get a few complimentary ones off him and that. But other than that, you know, on occasion he just gets me over, and I'll get a few people in, and he'll get me doing a commentary on some of the fights. I think I've commentated on a couple of shows now. So the first one was when I done one of my mates who was at the same gym as me. I'm actually going to make both these lads now, but it's mad. Gary Austin and Mick Gerrard. That was my first time I'd done commentary on. It was a debut derby. So we both scousers fighting each other on the first fight as a pro. Mick won, but obviously he had the more experience at the amateur, and he boxed at a higher level. And I'd sparred him, and I'd already trained with Gary, but Gary'd gone to a different gym at the time. He wasn't no, he wasn't. He changed gym after. He actually fought Kes, and I told him that he shouldn't have fought Kes, really. He got stopped by Kes, Gary. But I don't know whether he's fought since that one. Mick's funny though, nice lad. Yeah, I've been around. Like, I mean, I've been up and down the country, haven't I? I've been to Edinburgh, Glasgow, Aberdeen, Belfast, Watford, York Hall, Manchester, a couple of venues there, Bradford, when I fought that. What was his name? Not Ahmed, the other one. Janzeb.
Yeah.
Madness. But the first away fight that I had when I fought Tiffany, that was some experience. That walking into like boos, jeers, heckles, threats, people spitting at you and throwing stuff at you. I mean, that was probably the most nerve-wracking walking that I've done. Was when I fought my first away fight in Edinburgh, when I fought Stephen Tiffany. I'm not gonna lie to you, that was. See, when you, like I said, when you're the young fighter, you walk into a hero's welcome, they're all cheering for you. You're like the man, you know what I mean? You walk out after you've had your fight and you've won and that. You got everyone mobbing you. You feel like you're a superstar. They all want you to sign stuff for you. They want to buy a drink off you. My missus, after my first fight, she never got to see me for about an hour because I've got out the ring, I've got mobbed by half the crowd. Then I've gone into the changes. I've had to have a post-bout interview. I've come out. I've got mobbed again when I walked out. And then I eventually got to speak to my missus. She wasn't best pleased about that, so I made sure after that, in my next fight, that I went and seen her. Just give a minute there, I need to go and see my missus. But she felt a little bit disheartened and a bit down about that. I can understand, like, because obviously she come and I got her to come with her half of that, and I have a few of my mates in the army and other lads who'd served before my time and whatnot. I've had all kinds of like radio interviews. I've done Fight Disciples, been on that Fight Connect with Lydia Daydall. I think that was during lockdown. Yeah. But like all the exposure and all this advertising and whatever else, like I said, I mean, it's our goal. Next venture on that side of things, I don't know. Might see if I can do a few little posters up to stick and work, get a few business cards made. But all the stuff that I've had done and made and whatever, that's all been at my own expense. I mean, I've actually got some of it here. Have you seen any of the kit that I put up lately on my pictures and that?
Yeah, I've seen a few pictures, yeah.
Yeah, well, like half them logos, they're not sponsors, most of them. They're mostly regimental cap badges, like for either the regiment that I've served or other regiments that got merged with us. Because I joined the army in 2003, we got amalgamated in 2006, and actually served 10 years and 2 months from the age of 17. So I didn't really know much else. I've done like a little bit of removals, and then when I got out, I've been doing loads of different jobs, like security on railways, mostly driving the wagons, a little bit of ADR work. Ook bit of driving well for a vehicle company up the road from where I live. So yeah, done a lot of stuff. But I've got that stuff here actually. Yeah, okay. So this one here, that new logo there, that LT Heroes one, you can probably see it there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's like a veterans charity. It's like we help out homeless veterans, trying to get them rehoused and things like that, and helping them with addictions and mental health and whatnot. It's just a trackie that I bought off what was it, JD or something like that, and then I just had all this printed embroidered. It's all at my own cost, like. So that's the Combined Services logo there. So that incorporates the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force. So that's the tri-service really. I paid to have my logo designed by some lady that I found on Twitter on Design Day 24, and then I had to pay to get it digitized so that I had it printed and embroidered. You've already seen that LT Heroes logo. That one in the top centre there, that's the new logo for the regiment now. That's the Duke of Lancaster's regiments. And all these other ones at the bottom. So that's the Queen's Lancashire regiments, which is one of the ones we got amalgamated with the King's regiments, which is my original regiment before we got amalgamated, and another sister regiment that we had, which is the King's Own Royal Border regiments. So they're based all up in like Cumbria and places like that. Mostly Scousers and Manx and some from the Commonwealth and whatever else, and some from like Lancashire, Burnley and Wigan and places like that. And we're all together now, merged as one.
Yeah.
So that's the history behind all that.
Good to know that, mate. Thank you so much for your time, mate.
I know you've been waiting a while to get me on, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. I really appreciate your time.
I know it's all right. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, we got round to it eventually, didn't we? So that's the main thing. I mean, obviously, it'd be great to have like the sponsors and support and people backing you and all that kind of stuff. But I've got to be realistic here. I've been fighting on the road. I've got a losing record, and short of having a masterclass performance or stopping some next big thing on a TV bill, preferably either as a live float before the main event or during a period where everybody's watching, it's probably not going to happen. But who knows? And fingers crossed, touch wood.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Hope so, mate. Thank you for your time.
You're very welcome. Take care.
Bye, mate. Thank you.
You're welcome.